Breaking news. Danielle Smith's UCP leads NDP by 25% ahead of by-elections. Alberta's political landscape is undergoing a significant shift as Danielle Smith's United Conservative Party, UCP, establishes a commanding lead over Naheed Nenshie's New Democratic Party, NDP, in advance of the upcoming by-elections scheduled for June 23, 2025. The UCP's substantial 25-point advantage signals a notable resurgence in support for Smith's leadership and her party's policies, marking a potential turning point in Alberta's political trajectory. These by-elections, set to take place in the constituencies of Edmonton-Strathcona, Edmonton-Ellerslie, and Old Didsbury Three Hills, are being closely watched as indicators of the province's broader political sentiment and the direction it may take in future elections. The shift in momentum towards the UCP represents a stark contrast to the earlier strength exhibited by the NDP, particularly under its new leader, Naheed Nenshie. Recent polling data compiled by Janet Brown suggests that the UCP currently holds a province-wide support level of 52%, while the NDP trails behind at 38%. This polling data underscores a growing confidence among Albertans in Smith's leadership and the UCP's vision for the province, especially among voters outside of Edmonton and Calgary, where the NDP has traditionally enjoyed strong support. The by-elections will serve as a crucial test of whether the UCP can maintain and expand its support base, or if the NDP can regain ground and reassert its influence in key regions. Danielle Smith's leadership has seen a clear upswing in popularity, as evidenced by a Ledger report from February 2025, which indicated a 7 percentage point increase in her approval rating since mid-2024. This upward trajectory has solidified her position as Alberta's most endorsed premier, reflecting a growing acceptance of her policies and leadership style among Albertans. The parallel between her rising approval rating and the overall polling trend further reinforces the narrative of a steady consolidation of UCP dominance in the province. This positive momentum could prove pivotal in the upcoming by-elections, potentially translating into tangible electoral gains for the UCP. As Alberta prepares for the by-elections, the spotlight is particularly focused on Edmonton-Strathcona, where NDP leader Naheed Nenshie is vying for a seat vacated by Rachel Notley. Historically, Strathcona has been an NDP stronghold, with the party commanding approximately 80% of the vote in past elections. However, even a slight dip below this threshold would be interpreted as a significant setback for the NDP and a sign of weakening support for the party's Orange Wave. The outcome in Edmonton-Strathcona will be closely scrutinized as a barometer of Nenshie's leadership and the NDP's ability to maintain its traditional bastions of support. The constituency of Edmonton-Ellerslie presents another critical test for both the UCP and the NDP. This seat, previously held by the NDP with a 62% share of the vote, is considered potentially vulnerable if the UCP's current surge in popularity continues. A modest shift in voter preferences could put significant pressure on Nenshie and provide further impetus to Smith's momentum. The results in Ellerslie will offer valuable insights into the extent to which the UCP's message is resonating with voters who have traditionally supported the NDP and whether the party can successfully expand its reach into new territories. Meanwhile, Old Didsbury Three Hills, a region traditionally considered UCP territory, is attracting attention for a different reason. The Republican Party of Alberta, an emerging political force advocating for Alberta's separation from Canada, has nominated Cameron Davies, a candidate with separatist leanings, to contest the seat. Some Conservatives fear that Davies' presence in the race could potentially split the Conservative vote, thereby complicating the UCP's efforts to maintain its stronghold in the riding. Despite these concerns, the constituency remains UCP-favored, but the presence of a separatist candidate adds an element of uncertainty to the outcome. Beyond the individual riding battles, the underlying sentiment of support for a referendum on Alberta's separation from Canada, which hovers near 48%, underscores the volatile political mood in the province. While a majority of Albertans would still vote to remain in Canada if a referendum were to occur, the looming threat of separation remains a significant factor in the political landscape. Premier Smith has strategically leveraged this sentiment to demand policy concessions from Ottawa, positioning herself as a staunch defender of Alberta's interests and a strong advocate for greater autonomy. In Ottawa, Prime Minister Mark Carney's minority Liberal government is facing mounting pressure from Western premiers, including Danielle Smith. The Alberta caucus and Conservative federal leader Pierre Poilievre are jointly demanding the greenlighting of pipeline projects, the cancellation of carbon taxes, and greater respect for the energy sector's autonomy. These demands reflect a growing frustration among Albertans with federal policies that are perceived as detrimental to the province's economic interests, particularly its vital energy industry. The outcome of these negotiations between Alberta and Ottawa will have significant implications for the future of the province's relationship with the federal government. For Pierre Poilievre and his Conservative Party, the situation in Alberta reinforces their core branding: stronger energy development, tax relief, and provincial respect. The UCP's surge in popularity in Alberta serves as a boost to their momentum, positioning them as aligned with the priorities of Western voters. Poilievre's unwavering support for Alberta's energy sector and his criticism of federal policies that stifle economic growth resonates strongly with many Albertans, potentially translating into increased support for the Conservative Party in future federal elections. Despite the pressure from Alberta and the Conservative Party, Prime Minister Carney remains defiant. In interviews, he continues to promote a balance of climate ambition and fiscal discipline, even though his policies draw fierce criticism for allegedly stifling economic growth and increasing costs. Carney's commitment to environmental sustainability and his emphasis on fiscal responsibility are viewed by some as incompatible with Alberta's economic interests, further fueling the broader Western backlash against federal policies. The ongoing tension between Carney's government and Alberta highlights the challenges of balancing competing priorities in a diverse and regionally divided country. Perhaps most telling is the role of François-Philippe Champagne, who has been shuffled across portfolios and has become the Liberal team's crisis manager, tasked with soothing trade tensions and energy disputes with provinces like Alberta. Champagne's involvement underscores the seriousness of the challenges facing the federal government in its relationship with Alberta and the need for skilled negotiators to bridge the divide and find common ground. His ability to navigate these complex issues will be crucial in maintaining stability and fostering cooperation between Ottawa and Alberta. In short, Danielle Smith's commanding lead is not merely about by-elections. It is a bellwether, highlighting a powerful regional tilt toward conservative, resource-focused governance and away from Carney's cautious centrism. This tailwind strengthens Poilievre's hand, pushes the federal narrative toward affordability and energy sovereignty, and pressures Carney to pivot quickly. The by-elections serve as a crucial test of whether these trends will continue to shape Alberta's political landscape and influence the broader national conversation. As Alberta voters head to the polls, they will not just be choosing a party. They will be signaling the province's appetite for autonomy, economic growth, and demand for Ottawa to deliver on infrastructure and policy. The outcome of these by-elections will have far-reaching consequences, not only for the political balance in Alberta, but also for the future of the province's relationship with Canada. If Smith's lead holds or grows, it may mark a full shift in the Western tide and set the tone for the next federal election, potentially reshaping the political landscape of the entire country.